My name is Ricardo Basurto-Davila, and I am a principal analyst at the Los Angeles County's Chief Executive Office. I'm a graduate of the Pardee Rand Graduate School's PhD program in policy analysis. I also have a master's degree in economics from the University of Texas in Austin and a bachelor's degree in economics from Tecnológico de Monterrey in Mexico. After I graduated from Pardee Rand's PhD program in 2009, I worked as a health economist at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in Atlanta, which we usually call the CDC. The start of my fellowship at CDC overlapped with the start of the H1N1 pandemic, influenza pandemic. So I spent all my time at CDC doing research on the effectiveness of different types of pandemic responses, such as school closures and mass vaccination efforts, both in the US and a few other countries. In 2017, I came to work for the county's Chief Executive Office to join the newly created Analytics Center of Excellence, which focuses on using data from LA County to answer major policy questions. At ACE, the Analytics Center of Excellence, I lead a team of data analysts, and the bulk of our work involves analyzing data from the countywide information hub. The Info Hub is a data warehouse that receives administrative records from many county departments like health services, mental health, sheriff, probation, public services, etc. So a typical week for us involves a combination of mainly, I would say, three things. First of all, the Info Hub is a fairly complex system. There are only a handful of other local governments in the US that have anything like it, and maybe only one or two that have as much data as we do in LA County. So we spend at least 50% of our time, probably more, just analyzing the data from the Info Hub, prepping and analyzing the data. And the idea is just to make LA County a data-driven government. Some of our analysis can be fairly basic, like just describing the characteristics of a population, like maybe individuals released from jail, their sex, race, ethnicity, age, if they have mental illness, if they receive social services, etc. But our work can also be more complex, like performance measurement. We do a lot of data visualization. We also do research and evaluation. And more recently, we started moving into data science, which obviously is very exciting. So that's the bulk of our work. But then I am the team lead. So I also spend a good chunk of my time writing reports, manuscripts, just summarizing the findings of our work. Again, the whole point of this is writing the report so that our audience, the policymakers in the county, can make better decisions. First of all, LA County is big. It's very big. We have a population of around 10 million, which is larger than the population of about 40 other states in the US. For example, we have more people than Michigan. We have more people in New Jersey. We have about the same population as Sweden. So that alone is a big motivation, right? Because every decision made by the county's board of supervisors could potentially affect millions of individuals. And we're lucky that the current members of our board are very much into data-driven decision-making. They are, they often rely on us, and they're constantly asking us to use data and analytics to help them answer certain questions or make better decisions. So that alone helps a lot. I'm in a place where I feel like the work we do, there's interest in it. It has a chance to make an impact because it is almost directly reaching the people who make the decisions. This is probably one of the most valuable lessons I learned during my time at Rand. When we go to college and then we get our first job and then our second job and we continue our careers, it is common. I think we usually tend to specialize in one or two subject matters and the use of one or a handful of analytical tools. But real life doesn't work that way. Policy problems are not like that. They're always multidimensional. People are not just unemployed or just homeless or just Hispanic or just at high risk of COVID-19 infection. Every person that is target of a particular policy or public intervention fits into many different buckets. And each of those buckets requires different areas of subject matter expertise. So having people with different backgrounds, immediately helps us not have blind spots in the work that we're doing, things that we haven't even thought of because we don't know about that particular area. And there may be something that we think, oh, we just discovered something new, and it turns out that it's something that's been known in the sociology field for the last 30 years, right? And if we don't have a sociologist in the team, we wouldn't even know. Working for LA County, of course, means that my work focuses on local problems, right? And decisions that are made by our local government. However, a lot of our policy and legal context in LA County comes from the state of California or from the federal government, which means the findings of our work, some of them at least, are likely to be applicable to other jurisdictions within California and in other states, and maybe to decisions made by the federal government. We recently talked to an organization. This is a research organization based in New York City, and they work nationally on many issues related to justice reform. And they told us that LA County has traditionally been considered a data desert. Like, there's no data coming out of LA County. Nobody knows recidivism rates in LA County or just the characteristics of the justice population in LA County. And, the work that we've been doing the last couple of years, they said this, this perception is going to change very fast because the data that we have here in LA County suddenly is of higher quality and allows for so much more powerful analysis than what most people anywhere else can do. And so, I'm very excited that, we may soon be known as one of the local governments driving data-driven decision-making nationally. And that's, that's very exciting. My first advice would be is if you're interested in public sector, whether it's local, state, or federal government, reach out to those who are already there. And especially those who maybe you're familiar, that have career trajectories that you like, that you think, hey, I would be interested in having a career trajectory like this guy. And, ask him for advice. Ask him, how do I get in? What do I need to do? When do I start, etc. Because coaching on the government hiring process can make a huge difference on you getting in and understanding, what it's going to take and when you need to start, or spending months or years just being frustrated. Because if you really feel the calling for public service and, and then you realize, oh, it's actually difficult to get in. I would also say, if you do get in, career growth in government is also a little bit of a tricky thing. And sometimes it can be a bit difficult to understand from the outside. So I, again, would suggest the same thing, reach out to somebody who's been there for a while and just talk to them about, how different decisions you make, different starting points, can affect your trajectory and whether you can get to where you want to be. And finally, I don't want to make everything sound negative. Make it sound like, oh, everything is frustrating. It's not. I have enjoyed my career a lot, and I'm very happy with the decisions I've made and where I am. So, just a point kind of specific to international students. I was born in Mexico. I came here on a student visa, graduated like international students do with something called OPT. And I think there's often the perception that if you are an international student and you cannot get a government job, it's actually not true. For the federal government, there often is, but actually there are some federal government jobs where you don't need to be a U.S. citizen, that you can get a government job. Actually, that's one reason why I was able to work at CDC for 2 years. And also local governments often, at least in LA County, there's no requirement to be a citizen, period. You can actually get a job in LA County even without permanent residency. You just need a work permit. So, don't just assume that you're not eligible for a particular job. If the job description is not very clear, in the federal government, it's always clear, crystal clear. They say you have to be a citizen and there's no way around it. But if you see a posting that looks interesting to you and it's not clear, then just reach out and maybe you'll be eligible and you could get in.